here we are on day 3 of our Martin Luther King Project. You are going to watch the Ed Puzzle. That's me right now. You're watching. And then you're going to go to the Google Slides presentation and you're going to do day 3. So that's slides 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So go up here to the top of the classwork page, open up your assignment, and scroll down to slide 8. That is where you are starting today. Today, I want you to identify and do some research about a Black activist, a current Black activist. So an activist is somebody, let's take a look here on dictionary or vocabulary.com. An activist is a person who campaigns for some kind of social change. When you participate in a march protesting the closing of a neighborhood library, you are an activist. Someone who's actively involved in a protest or political or social cause can be called an activist. Demonstrations, strikes, and sit-ins are all ways that an activist might work toward the change she believes in. The root of activist is the Latin actus, which means a doing, a driving force, or an impulse. Someone who acts on what she believes is an activist. So you're going to identify one current Black activist, and then you're going to do some research on them. So I want you to make sure you pick someone that you find interesting. I have 3 websites here that you can look at to try to locate some names. Okay, please don't just pick the first person you find, because then you might find that they're completely boring to you and you don't want to research them. All right, so here, if I take a look, what this does is this one gives you several people's names. Like it starts with Esmeralda Simmons. Her occupation, she's the executive director for the Center of Law and Justice at a college. She lives in Brooklyn, and her cause for activism is she wants quality public education for students of color. So she's an education activist. She works to make sure that people of color have just as good of an education as everybody else, okay? Everybody else being white people, frankly, all right? So you're going to scroll down here and you're going to find somebody that you find interesting, and maybe you find nobody that you find interesting. And if you find nobody you find interesting, that's okay, because you've still got a couple more places you can look. Okay, this one has 9 Black activists who are fighting injustice, all current people who are alive. Brian Stevenson is very interesting. He wrote a book that I read last December, and it's actually been made into a movie. But he is a lawyer who works with people who are on death row, who have been unjustly accused and have been imprisoned unjustly. He's very interesting. So that's just a thought. That's just my 2 cents. So there are lots of women here too. You know, I scroll and I look, I read. This guy, Sean King, shows up all the time on my Facebook. You have Esmeralda Simmons showing up here again. Latifah Simon again. She was on the last page. Okay. So maybe I do or don't find somebody interesting there. It's okay. I have 14 more I can look at here. Okay. So you get the gist of this, right? That you just need to kind of poke around and find someone that you want to find out more about. All right. I know that this one also had this Ibram Kendi. I just read this book, Stamped. I talked to you guys about it before too. I just finished this book and it was really, really good. So if you don't find anybody on any of those pages you find interesting, then it's a simple Google search. Google, African American activists or Black activists. Just make sure it's somebody who's alive and working today. Okay? So once you've found somebody, down here you're going to type which activist you've chosen. And then over here, you're going to type 3 reasons why you chose that particular activist. What is it about them that's so interesting that you want to research them? So that's where you're going to start. Okay? And then I want you to find 3 additional sources, websites, news articles, documentary videos. Okay? I don't care as long as it's something that's, please just avoid Wikipedia. I don't always say avoid Wikipedia, but look harder, okay? It's such a cop-out to use Wikipedia. And a lot of times Wikipedia just steals their information from other sources, so you find the exact same thing somewhere else anyway. But what you're going to do is you've identified who you want to research, okay? So slides 9, 10, 11, those are where you're going to find 3 additional sources on the internet that tell us about that person or tell you about that activist. You're just going to write the title of it, write the author or organization responsible for it. Okay, so if the source title is, here, I've got one open because I was using it earlier. If I'm going to use this video about Angela Davis, who is not alive, so don't use her. How did Angela Davis inspire a movement? Okay, then I'm going to go and I'm going to type, oops, I don't want that. I'm going to go here, I'm going to type, how Angela Davis started a movement, the author or organization responsible for it. I see that it's the Smithsonian Institute's YouTube page, so I can type Smithsonian Institute there. I'm going to write down why it looks like a good source for research. Does it look credible, like something I can believe? Is it supported by an institution or group that is, an authority on this? Is it something that has a lot of information that's interesting to me? Okay, so you're going to write down why you chose that source. And then I want you to write down the key main ideas from that source. So you guys know how to find a central idea or a main idea. So I want you to list 3 or 4 main ideas from that source. And then make absolutely sure that you copy and paste the source URL down here. You will need it later, and if you don't do this step, you are so going to regret it when you go to make your works cited. You're going to be so frustrated with yourself, okay? So basically, you're just finding 3 sources about your activist, and you are taking some notes. That's what you're doing. Super easy peasy, all right? When you find your key ideas, please find things that are interesting, okay? Like, I could say, well, Angela Davis was born on this day in this city, okay? She was, from the South. She's from Birmingham. That's significant if you know that we've looked at how there were bombings in Birmingham that killed young children. Angela Davis actually knew one of the families, one of the young girls who was killed in that bombing in the church in Birmingham that killed the 4 little girls. And that was inspiring to her. So to say she was born in Birmingham, it might be interesting, or it might just be a who cares thing. I want you to avoid looking at things that are obvious, like, well, they were born on this day and they lived in this city, because those things are not as interesting as the work that this person has done. So when you're looking at key ideas, I want you to really learn, what has this person done that makes them unique and memorable and important? Okay? What is their work? Don't give me trivial tidbits. Trivial meaning not really that important. Also, try to find different key main ideas from every source. You're obviously going to have some overlap, but looking at multiple sources will not only help you cross-check to make sure that each source is giving you accurate information, but it will also help you to find details that might not be in, your first source or your second one. Okay? So that's what you're doing for today, and this is going to take you a little bit of time. So please make sure that if you have any questions that you let me know, and I'm happy to help you. Okay? Have a good day.